But that's the most concerning part, is builders that don't know what their overheads are. And that's the builders that are sort of at risk of, it's only so long that a business can continue without knowing what their overheads are. And then for a business for the risk that we take and everything that we take on as a building company, the business needs to be profitable as well. It's not just about breaking even by claiming in your estimates the labour and materials and the overheads. So there needs to be a profit on top of that to keep that business profitable. And it's a contingency in a way, or contingency needs to be as a part of the overheads for the risk that we take and anything that goes wrong.
Thinking about building or renovating? Or maybe you are already knee-deep in a project now. Are you feeling unsure of which steps to take and if you are making the right calls? You're not alone. Welcome to Builders Beyond Borders, the podcast where experienced Aussie builders share real stories, insider tips, and practical advice so you can build with confidence, avoid costly mistakes, and actually enjoy the journey. Let's dive in.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Builders Beyond Borders. We're here today with Hugh from New Realm Homes in Victoria, in Melbourne, and Paul from Independent Building Solutions in Canberra, Dean and myself from DJH Builders in Tassie. So today we're going to have a chat about business overheads and the cost of keeping the doors open for a building company, and sort of how it integrates with estimating, and estimates that just aren't as simple as being based off just materials and labour components. So yeah, I might throw it out to Hugh, and we'll to start us off. And I guess in your experience, how have you found that it's really quite a topic that clients really don't understand? As we said before, like it's hard enough for us to understand, let alone a prospective client, what's involved in the estimate, what's included.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's a little bit of a fun question because we know that when it comes to a business always has overheads, and what's really included in an overhead of a building business is there's a lot of things that people just don't necessarily realize, and sometimes even builders don't even realize that that they've got these overheads, and it might just be as simple as just a little bit of contract works insurance or something like that. And how the insurances that we do have on the business range from public liability insurance. You get your contract works, and you might have insurances for other little bits and pieces around for work cover and all that sort of thing. But the costs of those vary dramatically depending on how many projects you're doing a year. And let's just say your revenue is, say, $5 million a year, or $5 million in the 12 months that you've got your insurance policies, and how dramatically that changes in the cost. And you might be up for $10,000 just in contract works insurance. And what's going to pay for that? If we've got, say, $200,000 in overheads, and that's just for keeping the business running, then essentially what's that, off of $5 million turnover, and you got $200,000 in overheads, and that's not inclusive of wages for people working in your office or anything like that. That sort of thing adds up, and the percentage over a year is quite dramatic. And this is where, I mean, I've had the question, your markup on your project, or on this project that you've quoted us is just too high. We can't see how that's even what it costs to. Why should we be paying that? Is essentially the statement from a client, or a prospective client at the time. But being able to sort of justify all of that is exceedingly difficult, because there's so many intricate parts of a building business, so many moving parts, that we can't necessarily always sort of keep up with it. And I know that myself, I've been finding it difficult to be able to sort of get my overheads to be thinned out, because there's a lot of things that do come into it. And while we spend a lot of time looking at the numbers, sometimes the numbers don't stack up.
Especially,
And
yeah. Sorry, Ed. I was just thinking about insurance, because make a declaration every 12 months to say what,
Mm.
what our actual figures are. But we could have quoted jobs for a year in advance, and then the overhead has risen, but we've quoted as a lower number for the insurance type of thing.
Yep.
So it's also, we wear a lot of expenses because you cannot future proof yourself against what the changes in your overheads as the time goes on.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And how much do our overheads actually fluctuate in the space of a year? Just from something as simple as, let's just say, for the likes of yourself, Dean and Shannon, where if you've got apprentices and an apprentice finishes their time, how much does that change the overhead when it comes to a qualified person working for you, the insurance that you got to cover for them, and then of course their wages and all that sort of thing that come in on top of that as well. But just from one simple thing of going from an apprentice to qualified person, that just increased your cost by a minimum of, I think it's about $6,000 over the course of 12 months.
Yeah.
So
And then if they have a car that you have to purchase, if that goes with the role kind of thing, like there's all different. Yeah. So it varies so much. We have to, I guess it's about checking those overheads so frequently, but then where the quoting comes in is kind of like, well, and it can depend on also, because it depends on turnover. So if you're checking your overhead on a monthly basis, it depends what the turnover was for that month. So it's very, you just, got to be so onto it. So that's the most concerning part, is builders that don't know what their overheads are. And that's the builders that are sort of at risk of, it's only so long that a business can continue without knowing what their overheads are. And then for a business for the risk that we take and everything that we take on as a building company, the business needs to be profitable as well. It's not just about breaking even by claiming in your estimates the labour and materials and the overheads. So there needs to be a profit on top of that to keep that business profitable. And it's a contingency in a way, or contingency needs to be as a part of the overheads for the risk that we take and anything that goes wrong.
Yeah, well, profits a completely different thing to overhead. That's what a lot of people don't realise. They think that you're putting an overhead on and think, oh, that's the all bit, that's the builder's bit. It's not the profit at all. It's actually a completely different thing. And that's, I think, where a lot of builders even probably think that way themselves. And a lot of companies, as you know, have gone broke in the last few years. There's been a lot of them go down because it's been an ongoing increase. Everyone's been talking about the prices going up in everything, materials and stuff, mainly are always the talk since COVID and all those changes we went through. But it's the insurances and the overheads that you've got to run. I mean, if you're going to run vehicles, your registrations and insurances there, you've got fuel costs and everything that have gone up. Everything's gone through the roof. Cost of living, rates, and even groceries and that sort of thing. So that's all stems back to the same with your staff. You know, if you've got good staff, well, you've got to pay a bit of decent money because it costs a lot more to live now. So the time you sort of factor all that in, because if they're getting paid $40, $50 an hour, you've got to pay their tax, you've got to pay their long service leave, their superannuation, all that stuff on top of that. You know, it adds up to double what they're getting paid, what it costs to have them. So that's where I think even we got to be a bit on the ball, because we probably miss the mark ourselves and are a bit short quite often, before we sort of, it sneaks up on you and you realise, I haven't been really allowing enough for some of this stuff. So it's very, it's ongoing. Like I say, you've got to keep reviewing it fairly regularly.
Yeah, definitely. We try and review it at least once a month for the last year, haven't we? Off the back of every project we do. But yeah, if you don't know what that overhead cost is, because I've seen it personally, where people price out a job, look at the material, subcontractors, labour, and go, yep, sweet, I'll put 10 or 15% on it. That's got profit margin. It's like, you're probably not even covering your overheads with that amount. So
yeah, that's right. You probably need to put that 10 or 15% on for your overheads and then put your profit on top of that. I think that's where a lot of builders have come unstuck the last few years with the costs of the overheads, particularly insurances, because they've doubled in value. I don't know about down there. I mean, they have here, but you don't have we have a homeowner's warranty insurance here. It's a HSBC thing in New South Wales. It's a lot dearer in New South Wales than ACT, but it's around 2% of the cost of a job. So, it's $10,000 on a $500,000 job. So, and 5 years ago, it would have been a couple of $1,000s. So if you're doing 10 of them a year, there's $100,000,
Yeah, exactly. if it's not accounted for, it's that old cycle you can get in where when a progress claim comes in for a job, it's still paying off the last job. You can never really catch up on that. So
No.
that amount is paying off the bills for that previous job or the previous component of progress that stage that you're still paying off, because until you sit and look at what you've actually quoted, it's never going to fix itself.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes you never catch back up because you just keep doing the same thing and you get into a bigger and bigger hole. You get yourself into a bigger hole. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what happens. And then it just gets too much and the business can't sustain it, and that they fold halfway through your job, which is just not a good experience for anyone.
When you talk about projects on terms of pricing, where, oh, why are you so expensive? I had Joe Blogs down the road, he was going to do it for $50,000 less or whatever it may be. And I think a lot of the time people don't realise they're sort of dancing with the devil of, is that builder, does he have all his insurances in place? Does he have public liability? Are his employees being paid correctly? And then not realising what the overheads to run your business are. And you're just not comparing apples with apples. I think that's where a lot of people can look at some estimates and go, "Oh wow, why are you so much more expensive than that other bloke?" So,
are they a member of an association? Do you have a building contract? All that, those protections which can come with a reputable builder, registered builder, who, for the reason that it's going to protect you if everything goes bad.
And that's the trouble with a lot of those people that they'll say, "Oh, I don't care about that. I just want the cheapest price." Well, that's just a recipe for disaster. They're just asking for trouble, and then the first one to complain when they get trouble or things don't work out the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
A lot of the time they'll start the job and they'll get into the job and it'll be, well, that wasn't included or this wasn't included, because usually they don't give a proper detailed quote either, those guys. So there's always their little loopholes they can try and find to start jacking the price up once they win the job. So I guess you don't want to be competing with those sort of guys anyway.
No, that's for sure.
And that's another topic as well with the quotes. Like, it's easy enough for us to do, a guesstimate over the phone with people, but if like free quotes, that again is a cost that it's an overhead for your time that you're paying yourself a wage to do free work. That money for your wage has to come from somewhere. So if it's not built into an overhead, or they try and hide it in your actual quote and hope that they get the work to cover their wage. If not, it goes on the next person's quote. Like, it's such a dishonest way to operate.
It goes in the variations at the end, but
you don't know that.
Exorbitant, and go, why is this so expensive? Because they're trying to make back some of the money that they didn't quote into it at the first instance.
A lot of time it ends up costing people the same at the end of the day anyway, doesn't it? So
if not more. So.
Yeah. But you learn, I guess. There's not much you can do about that. People are going to go for a cheap price, then they're just going to have to learn themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can have 2 out of 3 items.
Exactly, yeah.
You can't have all 3. People are still chasing all 3, aren't they? Good quality. We want it done fast. And we want it cheap.
Low cost.
Yeah,
sorry, we can't do all that.
Yeah.
And we want it yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's not just about insurances either. There's a lot that goes into an overhead cost. Like, I don't know what your guys like to pay for your building registration, and then your master builders and HIAs. What do you call it? Association.
Membership.
Memberships. Yeah.
Oh, it goes on. Then just to keep the lights on and paper and the printer and just there's so much that goes into it. We've got to the point now where we can break it down per day for the running costs of the company. And that goes on top of our hourly rate now for our employees. So at least we know that's all covered from.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time, like I said, last year working on it. Very important.
Got to know your numbers.
Yeah, that's right. And you got to keep refining them, keep reviewing them.
Yeah.
That's right.
If it's not measured, it's not managed. So it's one of my favourite sayings.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. we'll wrap it up here and we'll see you on the next episode of Builders Beyond Borders. Thanks, heaps.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks for tuning in to Builders Beyond Borders. If today's episode helped you feel more prepared, clearer, or more confident, share it with a mate who's planning their own build or reno. Got a question about building, renovating, or working with tradies? Send it our way. We might cover it in a future episode. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss the real stories, practical tips, and builder insights we've got coming your way. Everything shared on this podcast is based on our experiences and those of our guests. It's general info only. Any reliance on the information provided is done at your own risk.